Welcome back to SBS Live this week, the indie music show with the hairiest chin going. It's been a long time since we've been out of the studio in a video-style interview, so today we are going to do that, and I am very excited to be able to do that once again. This is a project and a program that I have a very, very vested interest in. I love seeing what people create. I love seeing what people do when they have complete creative control on their side of the screen. So again, our video style interviews work in such a way that we film our questions here from SBS and we send them over to random places in the world. We've sent them to We the People in Ireland. We've sent them to Man-Made Lake on Vancouver Island. We have an upcoming one with Nicholas and the Iceni in the UK. So they just spread out and they go and they do what they do. But like I said, it's been a long time since we've had one on our own screen here. It's been since January, since Singed basically blew up the internet with their episode showing what they can do when they have complete creative control. They came up with something brilliant, shot and edited on their own end, just like you'll see here today with the Danbury Lie. Now this is Rob Loncto. This is somebody that we actually met last year through a written interview. You can find that on the main Sleeping Bag website at sleepingbagstudios.ca, of course. Since then, we've kind of been checking in on Rob and seeing what's been happening. And over time, we've seen that he's popped out a couple more albums. And he's still continually making music. I love that stuff. So Rob Loncto of two respective bands, the Danbury Lie and another band called Black Tar Pineapple, is going to be with us here in a video interview all the way from Danbury, Texas. And we'll talk about lots of stuff. We're going to cover the map, we'll talk about music, we'll talk about Thurston Moore from Sonic Youth, we'll talk about lots of different aspects of what kind of made the Danbury Lie what it is today and how it exists currently in the very environment that we're going to show you on this show. So I'm stoked. I know, I'm always pumped up about something, but come on, I mean, creative control is out of my hands for a change. I love this kind of stuff. I love passing the whatever baton musically, and yeah. So anyway, Danbury Lie is going to be awesome, and I can't wait to show you. So let's get to it here on SBS Live this week. Not so fast. Can't just bust open the intro just yet. There's a couple other things we want to cover right off the bat. A couple more reasons to watch today. Video interviews tend to be pretty short because they're handled like somewhat email interviews are, where they are sent out with a question, you get a response. That dialogue does not actually exist. So in those kind of style of interviews, they come out a little bit shorter. That just means we're going to have to load it with some extra goodies. I know you hate it. But what we're going to do is we're going to debut the comedy part of SBS. Now, we've talked about that before and how we are not here to judge comedy or any art for that matter. Not your music, not your lyrics, not your influences. So we're going to put comedy on the show today, and we are going to put that in the form of comedian Tom Williams. Very excited to have this be our opening comedian in what will turn out to be quite the random event here at Sleeping Bag Studios. These will pop up from time to time unpredictably, but we are absolutely excited to be able to start this off with Tom and his special brand of offensive comedy. And whether or not it's funny is up to you. I think there's a legitimate chance that there is. I mean, for myself, he says just about every offensive thing you can possibly imagine, therefore capturing my interest, because he's at least a very big believer in freedom of speech, and I appreciate that about Tom. Okay, other than that, we'll find something else to throw in this episode. We're not going to tell you about it now, we've kept you long enough. Now let's get to it. SBS Live this week with the Danbury Lie and Rob Loncto. of the Danbury Lie, Rob of Black Tar Pineapple. I've already gotten to know you in many different ways, but for those that don't know you, this video project gives you the opportunity to do whatever you like. So my friend, the intro is all yours. Introduce yourself to the people, let them know what you're all about. Give them whatever you got. Let the people know who you are and what you're all about in the most creative way you can come up with, man.
Yo, what's going on, Jeremy? It's Rob, in the flesh. Thanks again for doing this thing for me, and I'm gonna get right to it. So, here the hell it goes. Alright, we're the Danbury Lie.
So the Danbury Lie is based somewhat on that quote that you mentioned from Thurston Moore about your hometown of Danbury being supposedly going to be the next Seattle, according to him. Why do you think that the scene never exploded there? And what is it that you think gave him that impression to begin with?
I don't really know what made him think that. I knew that he grew up in Bethel, which is the next town over, so maybe he was just feeling like he was at home, something like that. But what I can say is there was a really great scene in around 2006, 2007, 2008, and at the time, including a couple of bands I was playing in and a couple of other bands, it was a very small scene, but I thought there were 4 or 5 bands that were, if they did things right, could have gone really far with it.
Truthfully, man, I've been trying to track down a Sonic Youth fan for some time. So, the situation is that basically when I first bought CDs, I bought 4 CDs off the top. I bought Dinosaur Jr.'s Without a Sound. I bought the Sub Pop 200 compilation disc. I also bought Pavement's Crooked Rain, Crooked Rain. And as the 4th disc in that first initial purchase, I actually bought Sonic Youth's Daydream Nation. Now for me, compared to the other 3 at the time, and maybe even still today, it was just kind of really gloomy, really kind of dull sounding. And I'm wondering, like I said, I've been waiting to catch up with a Sonic Youth fan for some time, and I'm hoping that maybe you are one, given the reference to the title of your band. I'm wondering if you can point me in the direction of the right album, because I hear songs like Bull in the Heather, and I think it's, 100%? Maybe it's a different number, I'm not sure. But at the end of the day, I love those songs. So I feel like I'm missing the right element of Sonic Youth. In your opinion, where's the right place I should be looking, and what is it about that sound on that album that really makes it stand out to you?
As far as Sonic Youth's music, I have to be honest, I've never really listened to them. I love Nirvana, I'm a huge Alice in Chains fan. Sonic Youth I never really got into, so you're completely on your own as far as finding out more about them. I cannot offer you any help there at all.
Rob? Question for you, man. When we talked to you a long time ago, we asked you about your upcoming projects and whatnot, and you had mentioned that you were going to be on schedule for an album in March or April of this year, and here we are. And of course now you've got the Question Mark album by the Danbury Lie being out. So I guess what I want to know is, is it difficult to be responsible to yourself that way? Do you have that creative motivation all on your own? How exactly do you go about keeping the music production on schedule like that?
Alright, the funny thing is that this project got delayed by about 3 months. The machine the producer, Simon, recorded on broke in late November when the project was basically done. So luckily, when I told you March or April, I actually factored in that things were going to go wrong. Well, the machine had already broken at that point. But, the songs for this project a lot of them were written a long time ago. The tune Last Day is actually something I wrote in 2001 and never... it was really hard to record. That was the hardest tune to record on the whole album. So I guess I just never, had a way to record that song the way I wanted it to be recorded. And it actually turned out coming out a lot like I originally envisioned it when it was written 11 years earlier, which is really cool.
Alright, follow-up interview. So I got a few advantages in terms of what we could talk about together. One of the things I wanted to talk about was from the past written interview where we kind of got you to compare Black Tar Pineapple and the Danbury Lie and the reasons why they became separate entities. Now, I'm not going to say you dodged this question, my friend, but I'm going to say it was awfully close, and I'm here to pin you down and get some real answers for the people today. So, let's talk about that a little bit more. Let's go into it, because at the end of the day, Black Tar Pineapple and the Danbury Lie, you mentioned, putting out separate albums at the time was like similar to Tarantino making different movies, and they were able to have a different flavor. Now that you're continuing on the process and there's multiple albums, I guess what I want to know is what makes the music go in one direction as opposed to the other? How do you separate it? Is it something that you go in thinking, I want to make some Black Tar Pineapple music, and then that's what it is? Or is it more like an examination afterwards that occurs, and like you sorting through what you have and determining this is more of that sound than this one? Give me the real, brother. I'm not letting you off twice.
Yeah, I mean, it's never really forced when I'm writing it. Black Tar Pineapple was kind of just, I originally decided that I wanted to name every album or EP or whatever you want to call it something differently, mainly so they couldn't be compared against each other. I find like a lot of bands, when they put out a new album, people's first reaction to it is always, oh, well, it's not as good as their old stuff. So I kind of felt like, in the small world that I put stuff out to these days, or just in the world inside my head really is really more where it matters, that it would be cooler to call things differently all the time.
You and I talked briefly before about putting a price tag on art or music. And again, I didn't pin you down hard enough. It's difficult over a written interview to ask those follow-up questions that make sure you don't get away. So, I'm going to make it a little more personally relevant for you this time, because I like the thing that I've seen online right now with the new Question Mark album from the Danbury Lie, which is that basically people can name their price for it. Now, I understand that this is something that people do, and I understand that this is not like a revolutionary concept, it's being done. But what I want to know is, how did you personally arrive at that being the best way to put your music out there? Was it with an intention to encourage sales, or is it more to see, I guess, just what people do? Everybody's kind of confused as to how to sell their music nowadays, but I would think it would also be kind of interesting to have somebody put a price tag on it in a way, and kind of evaluate the worth, I guess, to them, or, you know, maybe it's an opinion, maybe it's a way to phrase a statement to the artist themselves. I'm not sure. But at the end of the day, I'm curious, I guess, Rob, let me know, man, how did you arrive to that point where a more auction style, a more community-based, this is my music, you can donate whatever you like for it. How did you arrive to that point where that was the best possible price tag that you could put on your music?
I've never really been a good salesperson of my own music as far as money goes, and even back in my old bands 6-7 years ago, I always would rather give people a CD for free if I knew they were going to listen to it than be like, I'm not going to give this to you if you don't give me the $5 for the CD. So there's that, and then also when it's up on the internet, there's no production cost as far as burning CDs and paying for CDs to be pressed. So there's no real cost on my end other than what I paid for in the studio, which, you know, I do it for my own benefit, you know. So, I mean, really, I'd be much more interested in people listening to it than making money off it.
Gonna take a break from the Danbury Lie for a second, and before we get to the comedy from Tom Williams, I want to talk about music from Wolf Colony. This is a band that we've recently discovered over the internet, who have supplied 4 tracks on their SoundCloud page that we fully recommend checking out. The reasons that we recommend checking them out are many. Beat producer Neil Sarin, along with singer-songwriter Seventh Leopard, have created something unique here that I think is definitely worth checking out. The track Youth that you can hear playing in the background right now is available as a free download on their SoundCloud page, soundcloud.com/wolf-colony. Check this out, because when you turn it up louder than I've got it here, you'll understand exactly what we're talking about. There's an element of songwriting in Wolf Colony that is, wow. The songwriting element runs deep within every single track provided on the page. Whether or not you're listening to Calling, or whether or not you're listening to the track Beauty, or even the last track Colorblind, this collection of songs absolutely holds up together as a cohesive unit, and it's absolutely consistent across the board. In terms of quality, in terms of what you can expect, it is absolutely track after track flawless pieces. Now, no bullshit here. Seventh Leopard, the vocals that he delivers are absolutely very cool, very stylistic in many ways, and also very well thought out in terms of vocal flow. Again, the element of songwriting is so always there that it's just impossible to ignore. And when you hear things flow together like they do on my own particular favorite, Beauty, you can almost see Wolf Colony existing on a completely other level. Now, one of the advantages that I have is a little bit of correspondence in behind the scenes, which I can tell you, the attitude of Wolf Colony is right where it should be. They're focused on making the music that they want to make, and whether or not they ever get popular, it's not important. Whether or not they can help it, I don't know. Stylistic choices, especially from Seventh Leopard, singers can be polarizing, and some people are going to gravitate towards that, of course. Some people, maybe it's not their thing, but the songwriting, the fact that it's there, and there in every single track, show that this is a band with a bright future. They might not have a choice or a say whether or not they get popular based on their music. This is a kind of music that, you know, people really do largely like quite a bit. It's that electro pop, up-tempo stuff with really honest and well-delivered vocals. So I fully recommend Wolf Colony. I enjoyed all 4 tracks, and I certainly plan on doing that again and again and again and again. That's 4 agains just because there's 4 tracks. Wolf Colony, I want to thank you very much for getting in touch with Sleeping Bag Studios. We look forward to hearing what else you create in the future. And you can also check out the written review of the 4 tracks that we'll be posting later on at sleepingbagstudios.ca. So fully recommend checking out more of Wolf Colony. Download that downloadable track called Youth. Again, playing here softly in the background. Definitely want to get that while you can. And support them on Facebook. You know you want it. Wolf Colony is definitely a band that is going to be around in the future. So check them out and see what you think, because now you've heard what I think. I'm just a music fan like you guys are.
Wake up, be strength if you want to. Wake up, be sanctuary if you want to. Yeah, we're young forever, and we'll always be together. I'm traveling light but heavy-hearted. Take me back to where we started. Nintendo games and hide and seek. Yeah, we were kings, just climbing trees. Yeah, we're young forever, and we'll always be together.
Alright, Rob, so right off the bat, man, I gotta say, the work you've done and put into Question Mark from the Danbury Lie is nothing short of spectacular. There is a lot of great things to love about this album. No bullshit, man. You can hear it in the recording and the production. I think you've really reached and stretched what you've done from last time, and I think you've put the work in. I know we talked about this album coming up quite some time ago, so to see that it's here and to hear the work that's been put into it, I think, man, take yourself a big congratulations, because you've really done yourself proud. So again, now, you know, in listening to it myself, I always like first impressions, and this is kind of what I got out of it to begin with. You opened up with something that's very kind of Beatles-esque almost in their harmonies. Again, you mentioned Dave Grohl last time. I can hear where you're going with that too. But it goes right into that track, second song, In the Rain. And dude, like, this thing's like kind of like, it's got like a Primus style to it. I love it. You know, really, I really enjoyed it, and I thought that it kind of had that just really kind of quirkiness to the track. Not quirkiness and flaws, but quirkiness in design. It was cool to listen to, and it was a track that I could really get my head around, because it's got a lot of what seemed like influences that, you know, I personally recognize and identify with. But I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't dissect tracks for every part that I could and offer what insights I can. Now, I am a big fan of interesting parts of tracks. Things that are a little bit strange, and maybe why I say quirky is, let's face it, dude, at the end of this track, you've got a cat meowing in the background. Now, I thought to myself at first, I was like, in the brain, I'm like, and it's the whole, like, you know, kind of theme in the chorus there of not letting them go outside. It was like, for a second I thought, are you writing this from the cat's perspective? I went back and listened to it. I decided no. But I guess what I'm curious about, man, is I want to know about that meow. You tell me why. Why is that an important element of that song? What was it that made you choose to do that and include that as a part of that track?
In the Rain, yeah, that was actually my producer Simon's idea, to put the cat in, and it was basically, like you said, going along with the theme of don't let me out in the rain, and he kept joking around like you sound like you're singing about a cat, and then without me even knowing, he sampled those sounds in, and I don't know where they came from. I thought it was him trying to sound like a cat and recording his own voice, but I later found out that that's what he says isn't the truth. So yeah, I really had nothing to do with that.
Now, you've got a slight advantage in the fact that you've somewhat met me before through the written interview done at sleepingbagstudios. Now, I'm curious though, we talked about the dissection of those two bands, Black Tar Pineapple and the Danbury Lie, and kind of your quick assessment more or less of how to distribute them. Like if you were to give somebody one of those discs for the first time. I'm sure you remember the question. But what I'm wondering is, suppose you hadn't, I guess, met me through that interview, and this was our first interaction, and you saw me this way. You know what you know. I won't take that away. But what would you assume that maybe I would identify with more, just based on our conversation, more than, just kind of maybe some insight or some knowledge that you might have into what I listen to? Which of those two bands do you think you would have recommended to me personally first if somehow there was a position where we only could have gone with one?
Well, you got a beard going, pretty crazy beard, so I'd probably have gone with the Danbury Lie type stuff. That stuff I like more, so if I think people will get it, then I'd rather give them that. I think it's more interesting. The Black Tar Pineapple, I would probably, if you were wearing like a suit and you were clean shaven, I would probably give you that, because then I wouldn't be afraid that you'd think I was a complete weirdo if you heard that, because it's a lot more straightforward.
Man, some awesome moments again. Just finished listening to The Last Days, and that thing, by the end there's like all kinds of stuff that I absolutely really get behind. It's kind of got this like, almost like a Minus the Bear. I don't know if you listen to those guys. I really like those guys a lot. And there's like this one point in the rhythm of the guitar that comes through where it's just like, no doubt, absolutely phenomenal stuff. And then of course it goes plunging right into Elm Street. And man, that's the kind of grinding beat and just, again, really kind of creative track that I can really get behind. Some people might argue that, that's one of the less quote-unquote accessible or listenable tracks on something like that. Sorry, hit a chair there. But you get the idea, man. That chair really threw me off. So with that kind of beat, with that kind of rhythm, with that kind of creativity, Rob, man, really, I mentioned before in one of the other questions about, you stretching yourself on a creative level for this album by the Danbury Lie. Would you say that's accurate, man? Like, what's the deal there? It seems like you've really, really kind of, stretched out a little bit and kind of pushed yourself to that next level. And I know that at the end of the day, being who you are, and we talked about that control freak aspect, so I know you're the person responsible. At the end of the day, man, what are you reaching for? And where do you still have to go?
Wow, well, yeah, I wanted to do some more experimental stuff on this. Elm Street was was the last track that was recorded, actually, and I kind of meant it to be kind of a segue in the album. And the whole time I had actually just gone to see Roger Waters do The Wall live, and so I think that played into it a little bit, where I was kind of, and I'd been thinking of it for a while, but I wanted to kind of have something where you kind of have to listen to it all the way through to get the full effect of it, rather than just like a collection of songs that feel like they have a beginning and end to them. So there's a couple of tracks on this that are like a minute long, but so you wouldn't really put the album on and then listen to that track. But hearing it in the context of the album, it makes sense. So that's kind of where I was going with that.
SBS
And how about the infamous Frank Polacco? We talked about him being included on a lot of what you do last time, and now here you are with a brand new album. Did he get involved? Did you use him again?
Frank was supposed to come and sing on this album on a few songs, and because the album kept getting delayed, the day he was supposed to come in and do harmonies on the vocals I had recorded, he was actually sick that day and he couldn't make it to the studio. And because the project had gotten delayed so many times, I just ended up doing the harmonies myself. But you know what? It wouldn't have been worth the gas money because there's very little vocal harmony on this. So
You went with a question mark for this album, Rob, as the title. I'm wondering if that refers at all to the aspect of the you never know what you're going to get when you push play on an album by the Danbury Lie. Any truth in that? S B S S B S.
The funny thing is I was trying to go along with naming every project something different, and I didn't know what to call this project yet, and I gave a CD with the rough mixes of the tracks to the guy who did the cover art, and I was just scribbling with a Sharpie on the CDR, and I didn't have a title yet for it, so I just put a question mark on it. And then a few months later, I really hadn't come up with anything new, so I kind of went with that. The day I posted it online was really the day I settled on calling it that, and it really wasn't even meant to be a title. It was more meant to be, I don't know what the title is, but...
Okay, I gotta continue on my quest for real answers from you, my friend. Now, when we're talking about... Actually, I want to go into one thing for a second. I was just listening to Onward, and I gotta say, man, the guitars in that track just absolutely rule. Totally cool track. But I'm not finished with the question mark, so I want to go back there. I jump around a lot, you probably noticed. So, with the question mark, I've noticed that you've had some difficulty when it comes to identifying the album in certain spots on the internet. Just because of the nature of the internet needing that question mark for a lot of what they use in scripting and text. Now it's going to prevent you from putting that in a couple of key places, I would imagine. Now, I can't imagine as a person that, again, somewhat knows you, I know you, I don't really know you. So, my insight of the person that I think Rob is a person that considers every move, that control freak aspect that we talked about, the one that I don't necessarily consider to be a bad thing. That's an asset in a lot of ways, and especially as a one-person band. So I have to consider that I would think you would have thought this through. But tell me the truth. With the question mark, is there like an overall theme at place? You hit track 1 and you end up at track 7. Is there a journey there that is revolving around this theme, or this title, or perhaps this concept of the question mark?
Yeah, as I said, the question mark really was just kind of a placeholder for the name of it, and then I ended up realizing that that's kind of the whole point of the lyrics, and it's hard, people have a hard time describing what style of music it is, and the lyrics, you know, really kind of all focus around like trying to, I don't know if trying to find yourself is the right way, but it's like very soul-searching type stuff, like observing evil stuff in the world, evil stuff within yourself, or fucked up stuff within yourself, and, you know, trying to fight through it, and just like all of that. So in a way, the whole thing really makes sense with the question mark, but it was really done completely because I just didn't know what to call it. So in a way, I was kind of in tune with what it was without even knowing it, I guess.
And straight up, In Time is an incredible ending and a great choice to finish off this album. So, Rob, what I'm asking you this time is, how do you approach the layout of the tracks? How do you choose what ends up being track 1 and what ends up being track 7? Because when I listen to this album, it sounds thoughtful. It sounds like it's been laid out in a careful way that is really, it does take you on that journey. You know what I mean? So I think that it's completely intentional. I don't, again, think that you ever do anything without considering what you're doing. So, tell me about the process, man. When you're looking at these tracks, what is it that dictates the order?
Yeah, I am a control freak, but there's a lot of spontaneity that ends up sounding like it was something carefully thought out. I really believe that a lot of the times instantaneous feedback from your subconscious is almost more intelligent or more calculated sounding, calculated in a good way, than actually consciously thinking things out. So, that I wanted to say, but I definitely, actually, In Time was the first track I recorded for this, and Witches, which is the first track, was one of the last ones, but I think it kind of worked really well in that the way the songs fit together musically, as far as the sequence, also felt like they fit together lyrically in that sequence. So it kind of just naturally, and it's definitely something I thought about and wrote down and tried to think about it, but it was just kind of cool in that both musically and lyrically that order of songs felt like it made a lot of sense.
There are people in our universe like Rob who are uncontrollably creative, and these are minds that don't need to be reined in. They don't need to be helped to conform to whatever standard or chart or graph or any of these items that would end up making their music a more static formula. Rob has got one of those gifts of insight into music that he knows there's a different layer there. And he's able to get to that by experimentation and by really just, not being afraid of picking up any instrument or sound or, messing with some production values to get the quality and achieve the vision that he has for his music. Rob from the Danbury Lie, he knows this. We had conversations about taking his time. And you know what? I'm proud to say that what we put on screen today, Rob did not send back to us within 24 hours, which means that I lost the bet and I bought lunch for the rest of SBS. And the reason why is because I just thought, no matter how much Rob and I talked about taking his time with these video responses and representing himself, creatively, like he's done in different settings here, and you can see that. I honestly thought he was just going to blast right through it. I really did. Rob, I did. Anyway, you thought you were going to. So let's move on. I want to show you some comedy. That's what I want to do. I want to show Tom Williams, independent comic and no-holds-barred comedian. And we're going to show him over the first part and second part of the Danbury Lie. We'll give it to you in 2 pieces. So very, very interesting guy to talk to. What you see might not necessarily be what you get. And I don't mean that in the raw sense whereas in he's lying to us. I mean that if you're not paying attention to in between the lines of what Tom Williams is saying through his comedy, then you're going to miss a guy with an incredibly big heart and an absolutely ferocious attitude for comedy. So I want to show this to you. This is from a performance that he's posted from his YouTube channel. Tom reached out to us over the internet once he found out that we were willing to showcase independent comics, and why not? Everybody could use a laugh, and you know what? The music needs a break every once in a while, and so does my talking. So let's get to that. Tom Williams here on SBS Live this week.
You came. Tom Williams! By the way, Nick is fired. He's not supposed to do that. He's just supposed to come up and say, and now Tom Williams. He gets all that shit in there. You're fucking fired. I'm supposed to be funny. That's why I pay these people. I don't know, though. I feel like shit. I don't know about you guys. I shouldn't even fucking be here. I've been up all night. For like 2 days. I have this crow moved into my backyard. You guys ever see these things? A big black bird? What the fuck are they for? You know, most people have little happy birds that sing little cute songs and fly around. I have a fucking demonic crow in my backyard. Ah! Ah! What the fuck is that? It's like a reincarnation of my ex-wife. Don't have to fuck with me. Dumps a bucket of shit on my car every morning. Yells all fucking night. I know it's that bitch. Can you imagine waiting in line for reincarnation? You're gonna be a fucking crow? Oh, the guy's up front. Well, all right, everybody, let's line up. You're gonna get your assignments now for your next life. Form a single line there. Let's see. You're gonna be a bear. That's good. You get to sleep for 4 months. You're gonna be a dolphin. A lot of fun. You get to swim around. Good, good. You're gonna be a Chinese guy. Hey, we gotta make a lot of them. Okay? Yeah. You're gonna be a monkey. That's always fun. And you're gonna be a crow. What the fuck is this? I don't want to be a fucking crow. I'm gonna be a monkey like that guy. I want to eat bananas and masturbate. And they're going all the way. Oh, what? I can't make fun of gays? Is that it? Oh, gays are special. Okay. I'm telling you, you know, I want to be gay. I'm not homophobic. I do. I want to be gay. They have sex all the time. 5 or 6 times a day. They don't put up with any of the shit the straight people do. No dating, romance, none of that crap. You ever get on the internet and you can compare the gay ads with the straight ads? Our ads are like, you know, well, my name is Mary. And I like walks on the beach. Julia Roberts movies. Holding hands, poetry. I don't have sex before marriage. Don't even try. And even then, only in the missionary position. 5 pumps. In and out. Like, what are we, Amish? What the fuck? There's none of that in the gay ads. They get right to the point. Check them out. They're like, oh, my name's Bruce, and got a 9-inch cock and a hairy ass. I'm looking for a young boy with big balls and gonna wear pantyhose. Gonna fuck me in the ass all night over the coffee table. I'm gonna wear red lipstick. Play Barry Manilow songs. They even have little names for them, like Pump and Dump. Blow and Go. I mean, you're on the internet and there's an ad. Come over for a blow and go. Here's my address. That'd be great. I'd be over there every night. Can you imagine there's like 15 hot chicks hanging out at the park waiting to give us blowjobs? Fuck, I'll be gay. Shit. You know, all you got to do when you come home from work is flicker your porch lights a couple times. All the hot chicks in the neighborhood come over for sex.
Okay, I promised you some bonus stuff. And we're gonna do that. Yes, we are. Right now. Yeah, I am so excited about this. You have no idea. Because it's awesome and it's good. Okay, so I don't really know what we're going to show because I'm taping this beforehand. But I bet you it's good. So here's this with a title screen showing what it is on SBS Live this week. like to take a second and thank our two guests of this week, Rob Loncto from the Danbury Lie and Black Tar Pineapple, and Tom Williams, comedian extraordinaire. Once again, we had that other amazing video, which was also awesome. So thank you to that band, because you're great. Coming up next on the show, of course, you know, will be the Danbury Lie Part 2, back again via video for us. Excited to see what else Rob has got to show us from Danbury, Texas, and also see the rest of the Tom Williams set. That was something. That's right. Yeah, it was. Okay, so comedy's here on SBS, and judge it how you may. We are excited to have it. We will have it back again, so be ready, because it could come from anywhere, and it could be of any topic or variety. I've seen a couple already, and though they might be different in style, comedic performance, and content, one thing they definitely have in common is that they're not afraid to put themselves out there, which I can say is honestly, as a comic, that's got to be tough, tougher than tough. You're one person alone with a microphone. That's tough stuff. I'm one person alone in a studio when I do these. There is nothing to stop me from talking way too long. So, I will wrap this up. You probably checked out the blog, at least I hope you did. sleepingbagstudios.ca/blog.html, and that was probably the longest thing I've ever written. It was a short novella, and it included a lot of details about the last episode with Acres of Lions. Lots of details that you might not know, stuff that we didn't say on the show, lots of other stuff. That's why we have that blog. Blog where? Blog? Blog. sleepingbagstudios.ca/blog.html. We've got a lot of other great things coming up. We've got an interview arranged with the people that helped us out with Acres of Lions. Audio Blood Incorporated has put together another interview for us with the Penske File. So extremely excited to see what else is coming through now that they've kind of got an idea of where I'm at musically. Let's see how this matches up. I'm interested. As to what's coming next on SBS Live this week after the Danbury Lie airs, we're still leaving that up in the air. We still don't quite know what we want to show. We've got a lot of video interviews out there and a lot of potential things that we could show you. So we're going to put together something interesting. That I know. And I can definitely guarantee you that when we put that show on, you'll also see our second comedian, Tim E.D., with us. So that way we're really punching with the comedy out there. We've got a couple of them right off the bat, hopefully to encourage more and inspire more comedians, more independent comics out there to put themselves on screen as much as they can, represent themselves and their art, and among a friendly and very inviting community. I've said it before and I'll say it again. The SBS followers and fans have been everything that drives us and makes us do what we want to do. And without them, without the support, without the page likes, without the comments you make, without the emails, I can't imagine this being the same world that it is or has become for us. So extremely excited that we're going to be able to kind of link these mediums together. Again, all through this one visual art that we're doing through Sleeping Bag. Thank you very much for being here with us. We'll be back for part 2 of the Danbury Lie. Keep an eye on our Facebook wall, facebook.com/sleepingbagstudios, for posting times on part 2 of the Danbury Lie with, again, Tom Williams. That's it for me. I can't think of anything else. Rambling. Time to go. SBS Live this week returns with the Danbury Lie.
Why